What's up, my friends? Welcome back to another episode of Sunday Sessions with Rich podcast. If you're new from my channel, wherever you found me from, thank you. I appreciate you. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube every single week. On today's show, my boy, friend of the show, Chase. He's a dating, life, and spiritual coach. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. It's always fun when we do these. I'm excited about this one.
Guys, for you don't know who Chase is, this is like the OG. Me and Chase been me and Chase's relationship is interesting because I was stubborn in my path years ago, and Chase would just always randomly just be like a guy to like check in and like, hey, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And it'd be like, and like I know, like I always feel it in myself. This man is a messenger, and then it's just funny, guys. Like bringing all this full circle. If there's a message that's being relayed to you, it's for a reason, and just like dive fully into that shit. And then you look back and like, damn, I wish I started this shit sooner. But I'm just giving you flowers, bro. For those who don't know about you, big dog, let us know who you are and what you got going on.
Pretty much I just post on Twitter about relationships, dating, spirituality, psychology, philosophy. Um, been in the social media game for about a year now. I mean, actually taking it seriously. You know I've been tweeting since, like 2016, 2017, but
Yeah,
never really like tried to turn it into something. And yeah, here we are now doing a podcast again.
let's go.
Um, every time we meet, I feel like it's for, some higher purpose. It's like
Hell yeah.
me and him always are going through very similar lessons. And that's like he said, I'm able to call him out on some shit because it's like, I don't
Funny.
know, I feel like your brothers in life are like always the ones who can like see you,
Yeah.
when you're actually like, going through something or you're coping or you're being, you're struggling. And then like,
Hell yeah.
I don't know, because like, I'll tell my friends something like that, and then they'll come back and tell me something I'm doing. It's like that's the only way as men to stay like clear sighted, because I
That's
don't know,
real.
our emotions blind us real easily.
Hell yeah. And that's real, man. I appreciate you even doing that. Um, 'Cause a lot of people ain't real, and a lot of people don't give a fuck. So I appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
You your the information you share is broken down so simple, and you really challenge people to think past beyond the norms of like reality. A major one thing that stuck out with me our last podcast episode was the idea of like the pendulum swinging. And one thing I've been learning, and just with reality in general, I just been really intentional and playing around with my shit with just surrendering and observing contrasts from like let's some random shit could happen. I'm getting excited, like, damn, this pendulum, the bad part, quote unquote bad, is extreme. So that means that opposite about to be even better. And that excitement,
mm,
I'm playing around with that excitement more with the opposite. I'm like, damn, okay, so what's next? And that shit fun as hell.
yeah. I think to everyone watching, like the pendulum swing, what he means is like if you think of like a swing set, for there to be some sort of motion, there has to be a backswing to build momentum, and then like you're able to swing as high this way as you are able to swing as high this way based on momentum. And I feel like in this, whatever you want to call this matrix or this realm, is we need duality, or we need some sort of force to push us towards, our highest selves. And a lot of that time is the devil or suffering or, going through struggle, because it really forces you into emotional states that, it like humbles you, like you
Hell
ever
yeah.
feel like you go through the most spiritual epiphanies or you learn the most about yourself when you're truly at you kind of that rock bottom.
Hell
And I
yeah.
feel like that duality of order and chaos controls us until we start taking the self initiative to do the self work, examine our shadow, and then like we don't need to suffer because we're actively doing the work. I feel like it's like a pendulum. Like it's almost in the sense that if you're not doing the inner work, then some force or some momentum is going to swing into your life to
Yeah.
push you, forward.
But then even a lot of the times too, you gotta life is a repeated lesson. So with that same thought that you just expressed, we gotta be aware too of like I want to change this shit. Because some people just go over the same lessons and don't even like try to pivot, and you go keep experiencing that
Yeah.
shit. But it gotta be that you gotta be kind of like I say fed up because I remember a lot of things you would tell me, and it would be stuff I needed to hear, but I wasn't ready to implement it. And I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of things, the trap I fell into was I was too in God mode, playing airy fairy, and I'm not creating as God. I'm not building the houses. I'm not doing the concrete work and diving
Mhm.
into it. One thing you always said, stop swimming, bro, and like just dive into that shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
I thought I was diving. No, motherfucker, you wasn't diving.
Because it's like anytime, pretend you're a kid and you're about to do, jump a ramp on your bike or try something on your skateboard or go talk to a girl you like. There's an initial fear. And a lot of guys, they can't get that inner voice in your head. I always think of it, you have two voices in your head, the feminine and the masculine voice. It's like a motherly voice and a fatherly voice that are constantly going off in your head. And I like to think of that as God and the devil
Mm-hmm.
or yin and yang. And the motherly voice, it tells you, I love you no matter what, as long as you're happy, I'm happy. You don't need to improve, like that, the whole feminine culture of when we see like people get overweight and they don't tell them, they're like, hey, you need to lose weight. That's unhealthy. They're just going to tell them, you look beautiful. We all have that voice inside our head that loves
Yeah.
us unconditionally. But then there's that voice inside our head that is like a drill sergeant, is like the father that you can't lie to, that you can't hide
Yep.
from, you can't hide your weakness from. And a lot
Yep.
of people try to block that voice out. And that voice can be very fucking helpful when you learn how to talk to yourself. Like I'll watch videos of LeBron or famous athletes, and they're constantly talking super negatively to themselves. Like if they're being a bitch, like you're being a fucking bitch, do it, do
Yep.
it, do it, you're being a pussy. Like I think men need to learn how to be mean to themselves. It's like you're going to get bullied by life and you're going to get bullied by other people unless you learn how to
Yeah.
bully yourself. Because I don't know, I always think of it like this: if you're more self analytical of yourself and you know your weaknesses better than anyone, and you're more honest with yourself than anyone can ever be with themselves, they
Yep.
can't exploit you. They can't pick on your weaknesses because it's like I'm already aware of them. A lot of the times you can get under people's skin because you're the first one to ever tell them something about themselves that they, either block out or weren't aware of. And I think the people, or mostly men, who really prosper in this life are ones who are, their own biggest critic. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you can't do that on your own, you need friends around you. I think because it's like if you're ever in like a locker room and you're playing a sport and you have
Mm-hmm.
teammates. If you're the one on the team who's not doing the push-ups, not running laps, you're lagging behind, you're not trying hard in practice, like they chew you out. You get
Yep.
eaten out. And I think that has left, you know, this sort of life or reality we're in right now, or this generation we're in, and it's seen as bad. Like the past few years, all politics has been around, love everyone, care for everyone, and yeah, you should still, love everyone, but there's a time and place where you got to stop letting yourself or letting your
Coddling.
friends, yeah, like be lose. Like you can't let people. Loser's a bad word, but I'm just saying, like you can't let people dip into their lower self,
Yeah.
and a
And
lot of
that's
people will defend it, and
mm. Because it's just that comfort zone. That's why I defend it.
yes, because like if you hold yourself to high standards, then you're going to hold the people around you to high standards. But if you don't want to change the bad things about yourself, then you're going to
Yeah.
allow your friends to do the same shit. You're
Like
not going to go to
never.
your friend and be like, stop smoking or stop,
Nope.
watching porn because it's like I'm doing the same shit. So if I tell him to stop,
I'm
then
not an
I have to stop.
example. Exactly.
Yeah. It's like that's why people don't, why our society has become so liberal because people don't want to address their bad habits. Because if I judge you, that exposes me to be judged. And it's like
Yeah.
people
No.
don't want to be judged. So,
No, fuck
but
that.
then you also have projecting. I don't know.
You gotta. A lot of people don't even know the. I'm in terms of like relationships too, or just like okay preference. I'm gonna dive into. He ain't gonna listen to this episode. A good friend of mine, his partner. It's
Mm,
funny when you can observe manipulation and somebody like projecting on somebody. So they was having
yeah.
an argument, and she's straight full blown manipulation. Uh, just projecting in the highest degree. He's knowing this too. And we both looking at each other like, damn, she really thinks she can get away with this like kind of projection. But it's just
Mm,
interesting because it you like I'm pretty sure the person don't even know they trying to be super manipulative, but that is a cold fucking game. It's a cold game with that. You can get
Yeah.
caught up. Hey, fellas, ladies, if you listen to this episode, do not let these motherfuckers manipulate you and gaslight you. Hell no. Read the signs.
Hmm. I feel like that's why Andrew Tate got so big is that men were taught, that women are never trying to manipulate us, that we're always at fault, and that, just be nice and be a nice guy and women will treat you right. And it's
I don't
just
like
like
the nice
same,
guys.
same with like old spirituality where it's just be positive, be loving to people. But no, if you're a man and you live just like that, you get walked over real
Bro,
bad.
you talked about that last episode too. Like, don't like all that love and light shit only goes so far because this motherfuckers ain't even operating like so.
Yeah.
Hell no.
If you
Like,
try to, it's like trying to pet a snake. It's like
yeah,
it's like just because you're in a higher realm of thought and you're more loving and more aware doesn't mean the world around you is. That doesn't mean they're gonna treat you like that. It's like you have to, you know, adjust your environment to some degree. It's very arrogant and naive to think, that like if you just go around and be super happy, positive, cheerful guy all the time, that people are gonna respond that way.
to that point too, extending on it. It's okay. Like guys, you can like be treat others how you want to be treated, but don't be naive. Like if a
Yeah.
motherfucker showing you they true colors, react. I mean, adjust accordingly.
Mhm.
Because everybody ain't it's multiple players in this game, and everybody ain't got good intentions in carding in this bitch. So
Yeah. We're not saying to be an asshole all the time and have your guard up all the time, but like everything needs to be a balance, like 50-50. Like be
yeah,
skeptical 50% of the time, but then also be unconditionally loving 50% of the time. I feel like our society thinks everything is either right or wrong. You know
mm-hmm,
what I'm saying? When it's like everything's like a half truth. Like there's truth in everything. Like, how it's all Democrat versus Republican. Like
yeah,
on each side, they make good points, but then there's also on both sides where it just doesn't make any sense. It's almost like we need to take the good stuff from both and mix them and create a new party. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
everyone breaks down, oh, you're wrong, I'm right. It's like, okay, what if we're both kind of right and we're
yeah.
both kind of wrong and we'll be able to create the best solution by fucking listening to each other instead of treating, like growth and politics all like sports where it's winner versus loser.
Hey, that's a
You know what
good
I'm saying?
analogy. It is they are treating this shit like a sport. I saw that Elon unblocked Trump on Twitter, or X, whatever that. I'm
Yeah.
still gonna call it Twitter. I don't give a fuck. That's gonna be fucking hilarious. It's I want to talk about. I'm kind of curious how you've been creating your reality recently. Guys, Chase is great with just breaking things down in the most simplest of way. Um, and he's really big on playing the devil's advocate. And I've learned so much from you on that one to where like I be getting heat because they'd be like, but that person's playing that character for that expansion. And they be like, but it's so horrible. But it's like, but I get it. I get why they had to
See,
do it
I
though.
feel like the devil just means the masculine. And we
Yeah,
see the feminine, like when you think of a dad and daughter relationship, the dad is trying to keep the daughter from becoming degenerate, but the daughter in her mind
facts.
thinks he's being strict and he's yelling at her. So she thinks he's toxic. So that's what
Yeah,
we have. That's the big misunderstanding of God and devil. It's feminine and masculine. And we're calling the devil toxic masculinity when really the devil just means the one who says no to stop the bad habits, stop coping, stop, self-sabotaging yourself. Because a lot of people just want to lie to themselves because that makes life a lot easier.
yeah.
Like I
Why?
don't have to address my problems if I just pretend they're not real.
But
Or I
then
label everyone who makes me aware of my problems as the devil.
no, that should be pissing me off. There's my brother, for example. It's interesting when you observe people when you are in your own way. I don't care what the hell the situation is, and it's always been so simple. And like now, it kind of irks me when people, not kind of, it does irk me now, when people give excuses as to why they're like, oh, but this and this. But what are you doing to change that? If you come to me
Mm-hmm.
complaining, I don't want to hear it, bro. What's the solution? How are we aligning with the new reality? I just hate that victim shit with a passion.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of people aren't ready for the higher levels of success. It's like I like to compare it to the gym or any sort of sport. Like pretend you're a race car driver. If someone who's a novice, they're going around the track at a slow speed, it's a lot less dangerous. If
Bro.
you're a high level driver, you're driving at much faster speeds. It's a lot more dangerous. There's much higher risk. If you're in the gym and you're lifting higher heavy weight, there's more risk. You're more prone to tear muscle or some sort of injury. Um, if you're rich, you have more responsibility over a bunch of people. You have much higher stress. I think a lot of people dream about being top level men or rich
Mm-hmm.
or, in the public eye. And then they start to feel like how heavy it is to wear the crown. And then
Yeah.
they get scared. They're scared. And then they fall into depression because their whole life they're like, I'll be happy when I have money or I'll be happy when I have followers. And then they get there and they don't know how to handle it. And they get a reality check that they're not as, self-aware or capable or disciplined as they thought they were, and it hurts their ego and it makes them insecure. And then a lot of people can't recover from that, and they just sink into being mediocre because it's like, okay, I don't want to play the game at that level. Going that speed is scary.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
That's
life goes fast when you're in the public eye, you're making money, or you got employees, or you're running a business, or you have influence because like you have responsibility to not program people to, sin or become depressed. And I don't
yeah.
know, goes back to more money, more problems. It's like everyone thinks that's a cliche, and then
That
I
shit
don't know.
real. Cause cause it's like even like with the podcasting scene, like or just like being an influencer or a creator, like you have people who are like they expect you to drop content, drop knowledge,
Mm,
and then if you don't, I have those guilty moments like damn I kind of need like this stretched to where I can't I ain't it's forced, it's not being genuine. I'll be doing you
yeah,
guys a disservice if I'm just putting out content that I'm not even like wholeheartedly in, but then that gives like
yeah,
damn, but I need to it's somebody who's probably like they need this every week, but then you gotta take care of yourself too at the end of the day. You gotta it's okay to be selfish, but also
yeah.
honor where you at in your shit.
See, that's where we go back to everyone thinks there's one answer to everything that's either wrong or right. When I mean, you got to find everything's about balance. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's like it's not about one way or the other. It's about finding, the best way to do something by mixing, two strategies or two ways of viewing something.
I
It's like
wanna
you don't want to be too selfish, but you also don't want to be a pushover. It's like you got
yeah.
to find a middle ground, and you can translate that to everything. It's like you don't want to be too arrogant, but you also don't want to be too insecure. It's like
Yeah. You don't want to be too
every
humble, but you also want to be like, hey, I'm putting in that shit. Don't get it
yeah,
twisted.
yeah. It's all about finding that middle ground. And a lot of people can't realize that. They're like, okay, if I'm not 100% in, then I'm 100% out. It's like,
Yeah. Fuck that. It's okay. Now I want to dive into this because we're I'm pretty sure we're observing this from the same perspective. So everything that went on with COVID and kind of like this new and I'm parenthesis with the lockdown shit that they're introducing, I'm noticing a lot of it's a lot of not a lot of fear based, but looking at it
hmm,
from a source perspective, I know this part is happening to wake up people further because the first trick was the first one. That's woke up the people who was like under deep slumber. So you get those
hmm.
people, and I feel like this next one is also gonna progress those who just woke up, but also wake up the other ones who was kind of like lagging from the first one. I'm kind of curious what your take on that.
Yeah, I don't know. It might just be like, okay, here comes round two. Let's see if y'all hold your ground this time. And it's like,
Yeah.
I bet people don't. It's more so social programming of, okay, the herd puts the mask on, I must put the mask on so I don't get judged by the herd. And I don't know, all the political stuff. And I feel like when you have money, it's almost like you step off the hamster wheel. Like all this stuff
Mm,
on TV, it's like you walk out of the movie theater. It's for all the plebs. Like it's all theater for the plebs to keep them. Like the whole national debate shit last night, that's just reality TV. None of those
yeah.
people have any sort of power in this world or ever will. They're just puppets. And it's like once you step out of that just theater, it's like a lot of this shit you don't really think about anymore because it's not really in your reality.
Facts.
It's kind of like the consumer versus creator. Like you get out of the whole, I'm just reacting to reality. I'm watching reality through a screen. They're feeding me pretty much like all of it's controlled opposition. It's like the new Vivek or however you say it, Vivek, the Indian dude. He's just an Indian Barack Obama, like
Mm-hmm.
saying the exact same shit. It's they find he comes from a big pharma background.
Same script,
It's
different character.
yeah, and you can't blame these guys, man. Like this world is all about just who's going to be at the top of the leaderboards, who has control, and it's survival of the fittest. And
Yeah.
those dudes play the game the best, and they're at the top. And you know, you need people at the bottom doing the work no one wants to do for a society to function, but they do abuse their power, and it's an ego thing. But like, fuck, no one's ever gonna rise out of the streets and truly like we've seen all the Epstein stuff and everything's been
Mhm.
proven, and you don't see it. If people don't care enough about kids, they're not going to care about anything else. Like it's a sad reality that you're either the dude trying to save the world, or you're the dude who's gaining some power and influence in the world, and maybe you can help some people. I mean,
Yeah.
it's dark to say, but it's going to take. I don't know. Sometimes you need a devil in reality to come and abuse people to show them to stick up for themselves. It's
Yep.
like it's ungodly to have such little, you know, like everyone bends the knee so easily. That shows a lack of faith in God. That shows a lack of connection to God. We all deserve this shit. That's
Yeah.
how I view it. It's like they're gonna come around for round two again just to show us how fucking weak we are and that we can't take a stand for shit.
Guys, make sure you stand up for yourself. One thing, because even I'm assuming if you listen to this episode, you're aware of life and what not to do. But a lot of the TV program and things just going on is just because I'll have people. You have to be delusional. You really like, yeah, I'm aware some shit is going on in the world, but I'm not aligning my frequency with that shit because I ain't trying to align with that reality. So if I'm seeming like an asshole because I don't want to quote unquote be right to your statement, I don't give a fuck personally because I don't want to experience that sad, terrible things. You can experience
Mm,
that, and I love you. You do what you gotta do, but you have to be delusional with it. Somebody tells you something like, "Nah." I've had many conversations with friends who are, who would be like, "But you're not being realistic." You're right. I'm not being realistic. You're not supposed to.
mm.
That's why you keep experiencing the same shit.
And that's just I don't know. It's pretend you have a friend who's super depressed and sad all the time, and you're constantly just trying to help them, help them, help them. But they're never going to change until they decide to change or they make some sort of epiphany. So all you're doing is
Yep.
lowering yourself down into their realm, and
Yep.
that's what politics is. It's literally designed to distract the poor people. It's both sides are controlled, and you give the illusion that you're on one side and that your side is better. They're using
Yep.
people's addiction to virtue signaling and vanity. It's like, okay, I'm a Republican, so I'm smart, or I'm a Democrat, so I'm a better person. It's
Yeah.
they create these two little titles that people are going to identify with to give them some sense of purpose in life or some sort of tribal, connection.
Yeah.
They're playing off our primal urges to get us to just distract. Like people who are rich and famous, politics is a fucking joke. It's like they're not interacting with this type of talk because that's just it's all theater. It's
Mm-hmm.
literally all theater. It's but I mean, it's a way to launder money too. That's all pretty much the
Yeah.
government is in politics, and it's a front for a giant drug cartel.
It's a dirty game, guys. It's a dirty game. But also, and this is the devil's advocate, those people are playing their roles in the game.
Yeah, just like I say, like if I feel like God gives us all the ability to become a superhero, and He
Bro.
creates villains for us to rise up and fight. Because I feel like that's the true test of your spirit. If you can rise up
Yeah.
against evil, God has to create evil to test us to see if they're
Yeah.
like evil. If we have no one to fight, we have nothing to prove. We can't prove that we claim a higher power or we want
There's
a
no
higher way of
growth.
living. We don't. Yeah, that's what I feel like is the test for us now is to see if we can stop acting like fucking animals. It's
And come together. I've noticed a lot of because I can't I can definitely see us because it's always been like it's not a community. It's more so are you trying to get over on me kind of shit.
hmm,
But one thing I've been really honing into this is always like I do it, but I'm being more intentional with expressing kindness to people. It'd be the random shit. Like I drove to Starbucks earlier and a simple, hey, happy Friday, hope you have a great day kind of shit. And when
hmm,
you get to the counter person, you can tell the energy is great. And then the person hooked you up with a bigger size just for you being nice. It's like the little shit that
yeah,
you don't realize. Like somebody, it's just any interaction, any interaction is
yeah,
treat people with kindness. You never know what somebody's going through, and this be the reason why somebody have a great day because you never know what somebody's going through.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part. Is be hard on people, but then also give them their flowers when they deserve it. Plus, I don't know. It's just everything's karma. There's
It
good
is,
karma too.
man. Oh yeah, we got plenty of good karma. Plenty, plenty. The interesting thing about Chase, guys, is oh, me and you, we was playing sleep for a while. It's kind of like I don't feel like playing God right now. I'm just gonna can just do my little shit. Okay, now I need to play God.
Yeah,
It's
it's
funny as
almost fun
hell.
to be in the matrix.
Man,
It's like a ignorance can be bliss, where you don't have to really think about things, or it's hard to stay in a high frequency for a long time.
it is, man.
I don't think it's healthy either, because
I
part of
don't
you
even.
wants to just play the game.
Oh yeah, I like being a rebel. I like doing fuck shit. I like
Yeah,
breaking the rules. That shit fun as hell. Cause that shit
I think
boring,
it's all good.
man. As long as you ain't like
Yeah,
killing nobody, murdering nobody, stabbing nobody, just and you ain't harming nobody.
yeah,
That's fine. Break a rule or two. It ain't gonna hurt you.
yeah.
It ain't
I
gonna hurt
think I think it's not like it's almost better to be. I feel like the best, most righteous men in the world are naturally rebellious, because you're born into a world that is designed by the devil. So if
you.
you align with it, then you're a kind of accomplice to evil. And if you're naturally rebellious against this world, against social norms, the way that against the sheep herdage, you're taking a stand. If you think of Jesus Christ, he pretty much just walked around and told everyone that they're living life wrong. Like that's so
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
arrogant. Like they're just walking around like
How
you're a
dare
peon, you're a
you?
peon. Like bro, like dude's calling people out posers and then showing them the way to live. And that's kind of how you have to do it. It's like you kind of have to be a devil's advocate to show people that they're serving the devil. You have to
Yeah,
expose them for, that they've been blindly following a false god. And
yeah,
then they have to internalize, like, hey, I've done wrong. I've been a sinner and I have to change. And a lot of people can't do that. But they will want to do that when you show them, like your ability to. I hate using the word manifest now because, mainstream has made it so cringe, but your
yeah,
ability to, shift into whatever reality you want, or show people, how to, like you said, like if you're always networking, if you're always doing good for people, and good can mean, like, we're not saying be a bad person or be the
yeah,
devil's advocate. We're meaning, like, if your friend is, has a porn addiction, or your friend has a hoe girlfriend, or your friend doesn't want to go to the gym or exercise or eat good, or they're addicted to, something that's bad for them.
yeah.
You're not being a good person by just standing there and watching.
No,
You gotta and the only way to make these people stop is to truly be like, man, you're a fucking loser. Like, just
yes, bro.
being love doesn't get the job done with men. You can't go up to a man and be like,
No,
I love you, man. I really want you to change. I want you to be better, man. No, you gotta make them feel like an absolute piece of shit. And they either decide to, at that point, because that's this. It sounds so
it's
dark,
hard
but
to hear
where
too,
you either reach suicidal levels and you kill yourself, or you decide to change. That's, you have to hit rock bottom, and
man.
you either, it's like that God gives you two choices. It's either succumb to your weakness and give up, or you're forced to make that change. And that's why I think God, or whatever you want to call it, makes us suffer until we choose to, take initiative in our lives and actually live righteously
Man,
and self-improve. It's like our punishment.
and it's not even. I can even challenge the idea of it being a punishment too, because it's tough love. It's still love at the end of the day, and we the reason why we keep repeating it. And it was we talking about this before we hit record, like life being this repeated set of lessons, but the lesson is all about how you your perspective on it. And so if maybe it's gonna take you those 30 different times for the same thing to revealing your reality, but each one is a different perspective for you to get it. Like if you constantly
Mm-hmm.
being fucked over by somebody, or you keep dating the same people, or you experience the same shit, and they be like, well, why haven't you learned a lesson yet? You need that third perspective on it differently for you. Like, damn,
Yeah.
this is fucked up. This is
So I
fucked.
think you'll just go through the same lesson with different faces in different scenario
That's
or
it.
different environment, but same lesson. And
Same
God,
lesson.
or whatever you want to call the Most High, or whatever spiritual lessons we're supposed to go through, it just keeps smacking you in the face over and over. That's why I believe in reincarnation and multiple lives. Like if
Bro.
you commit suicide, you just restart. You go through the exact same shit, and then you get this like, okay, which are you choosing option A or option B this time? And it's like keep choosing the wrong choices. Think about it. Time isn't real. We have an infinite amount of time here. You'll be stuck in this fucking school for eternity if you can't make the right decisions. And
Bro, handle
I
your
feel like that's why the T on the cross just symbolizes that all this is like a test. I feel like if you ever seen like the show Avatar, like Last
yeah,
Airbender, how
love that show.
he's got to master all the elements so he can transcend into the Avatar state. So like that's what this is all about. It's like we're in this realm going through lessons that really make us feel deep emotions because if we can't control our deep emotions, we can't find that middle ground between being too arrogant
Mm-hmm.
and humble or being too violent and being too much of a pushover. It's like you got to find that middle ground of being a righteous man who's also capable of violence or that sort of stuff. It's like because that gives you the ability to manifest is you can be able to survive in a cruel world
Yeah.
while also doing good. And I feel like the only way to arrive at that ability to do that is to go through trauma as a man or go through lessons and
Oh man.
all that sort of shit.
And then too, I you have I feel rock bottom is important and necessary. Not saying like you have to stay in the that for you to achieve whatever new,
Mm,
insight, but that shit is powerful. Like I wouldn't change a damn thing, nothing. Because you wouldn't be the person you are today. You wouldn't have the awareness and you wouldn't be able to relate to people in a way that they need to. Because you could be like me and you could be spitting right now, we helping people, but we're regurgitating something we read from a book or listen to in a video.
mm.
Like, no, this is from experience. This is me applying this. This is me having to surrender 1,000 times to know that everything is working out. And the minute you see this happen, now you know how to respond. Like, this is real application shit right here.
Mm. And think about other than pretend someone in your life passing away or someone sick. Something you can't control.
Yeah.
If you hit rock bottom, that's okay. That's something you can be sad and traumatized about, or not traumatized. Just it gets you fucked up emotionally.
Yeah.
But think of why most people hit rock bottom. Some girl broke up with them
Yep.
because they hate their job or they don't have the amount of money they want. That's all because you fucking suck at life. Like, and that comes from not
Yeah.
realizing that life is a skill, that you need to learn how to build, a skill in multiple realms of life, or else it's gonna fucking suck. Like nothing is fun unless you're good at it. And a lot of people aren't good at being themselves or at
Mm,
relationships because they don't study, how like we call social skills, communication, they're all skills. Intimacy is a skill.
yeah.
Being able to connect with people is a skill. And a lot of people don't take seriously, like, hey, I got to build these skills. And then therefore they have no good connections in their life or friends, and their, family life sucks and they don't have skills. So they can't go out and get a good job
Yep.
that, they actually enjoy. And it's like, it's all your fucking fault. And then they get down into
Yep.
these depressive states and then they're just like blaming everything but themselves. And it's more so of like it's like you're not depressed. You're not being traumatized. The devil isn't out to get you. It's just you're weak emotionally. You behave like a child emotionally, and you can't take responsibility over your fucking life. And I don't know. It's all like a wake up call when you fully, get humbled and you're fully depressed. You either realize that you're the one causing your life to be shit, or you keep blaming others, and it's a constant cycle that God will keep showing you that you're the fucking problem until you realize that, like, hey, I'm the problem,
Did you
and the only way
just
you can fix shit.
did you just break down what depression is? Oh my God. 'Cause that shit.
Because I mean, you can definitely be depressed over like if your mom passes away, that's very fucking depressing.
Right.
But the things most people are depressed about these days are entirely their fault,
Keeping
and it's just
yourself in the
because
shit.
yeah, people self sabotage so much. It's like, and people
Oh
like the self
God.
sabotage. Like it's like I
They
think
love
people
that
fail to understand.
victim.
Yeah, negative emotions are addicting too. Like
I'll even
they're
put myself on blast. I was addicted to self-sabotage, and there was many opportunities where I was just like, I just didn't execute because I didn't feel like I was worthy of that higher
yeah,
whatever thing. It's like, no, I'm here. I deserve this shit.
yeah.
Bring more.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get that raise, you'll get that girlfriend, but you'll feel deep insecurity like you're undeserving and you'll push it
Yeah.
away and you'll self-sabotage yourself. It's like, you can work super hard in the material realm and get money and attract, quality women, but that doesn't mean you can handle it all because it just a lot of it comes down to like you'll feel shame deep down or pretend you've done bad things in the past and
Yeah.
your life starts to go good and you feel you don't deserve it and you'll start to, you know, try to get yourself arrested or try to get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people underestimate that shit.
Stop pitying
Like,
yourself. God, source, universe, it's not judging you. It didn't judge you when you cut that person off, when you said fuck you to that person who was driving too slow. So I need y'all to keep the same energy for yourself.
mhm.
There is no judgment. It
And
is all
I'll say, well, I'll say, so I feel like you have that perspective because you probably haven't done anything super bad in your life, but I feel like when you do
shit.
wrong, then you really do get the crack whipped down. Like I feel like I've done some pretty bad things in my past, and I've never took virtue seriously
Yeah.
until I felt the shame or disgust of how I could make other people feel, or
Yes.
like just getting too addicted to power and my ability to manipulate or like move
Yeah.
people in directions. It's like God will come back and humble you and be like, you have to,
Real quick.
like it's like I gave you these powers, I gave you these blessings, and then you use them to take advantage of people. And then
Yeah.
once you truly feel that disgust for yourself, it's almost like I am in debt to God the rest of my life, and I have to live and serve others to rewrite the wrongs I've done. And I feel like that's how
Mm,
you truly transcend, into, being a righteous man. I feel like all men eventually sin. And if you
yeah.
haven't sinned before, it's like you haven't been put in a place of power, or you haven't been put in a place where you're truly tested to take
Yeah.
advantage or to manipulate or to do wrong. Um, you know, because the dudes, for example, if you have no money or you have no influence, then you don't have the ability to have power over people. So you can't tell yourself, I'd be a good person if I had that power. You know what?
Mm,
Because a lot of people times you think you're a good person and then you get that type of power and you realize you're not as good a person as you thought.
nope.
And I mean, same goes for guys who think they won't cheat on their girlfriend, but they couldn't cheat if they wanted to. The only girl that's interested in them is their girlfriend, and they're
Yep.
like, I'm not a cheater. I treat women with respect and I blah blah blah. But it's like, bro, if you had 9 out of 10 like on your phone every night, I'm doubtful you'd be very loyal to Bethany because of her personality.
You gonna
Like,
be tested.
yeah, it's like I feel like that's the path of every man is you go from you think you're a saint
Yep.
to you get some power and blessings, you realize your ego takes over,
Yep.
you feel the shame, and now you're in debt to God. And that's what keeps you, on a path of righteousness.
I think that's just the beauty of life. You follow from grace and then you falling back into yourself.
Yes. Oh, think of the whole Bible. Think about it. The devil is the fallen angel.
Yep.
But what deity was on earth? It was Jesus, the Son of God, came to earth and started teaching people the way of God. I feel like the devil, the fallen angel, is Jesus. He was son's
Mm,
God and he started acting up and he got kicked out of heaven for being a sinner, and he had to go re-earn his spot back in heaven by spreading the word of God. And that's what I feel like my path is right now is, you know, I was, you know, taking power or taking advantage of, my looks or my ability to talk, my charisma, social skills and all that, and using it in ways that would just benefit me and not others. And
yeah.
then I got humbled by, karma. And now I feel like it's my duty to teach others, the lessons I learned because that will push us forward in the sense of, consciousness. Because I feel like what's wrong with reality right now is everyone's pretending to be a good person when we're all
Yep.
sinners.
Yep.
It's everyone's Democrats are evil or Republicans are evil, but we're the good guys, or, like all the people hating on, all the trans and gay stuff. Like there's some legitimacy to it. You don't want your kids being programmed, but then those same people go home and, promote like things that aren't good themselves. Like they'll run businesses that are taking advantage of people. It's like
Mm-hmm.
if you're standing by and watching the Epstein stuff, or you're standing by and watching the banks, completely fuck us, or watching you, like we know satanic people are in Hollywood. Like
Yeah.
everyone knows the world is run by evil people and by
Yeah.
pedophiles, but no one does shit. That makes you a sinner. That makes you an accomplice of the devil. Just because you don't do it physically, you aren't the one doing the sinning, the actual act, doesn't mean that you're not just as bad as them because you sit there and you watch it happen. We
Turn a
all
blind
know
eye.
there's like, bro, the child sex trafficking makes more than the airlines.
That's crazy.
34 billion a year.
Damn.
That's not no just third world countries buying kids. That's very rich, powerful people paying money. So like, and a lot of people they realize this shit, but it scares them so much. It scares
Yeah.
them too much to where it's like I don't want to think about that stuff. I don't want to wake up. And I feel like that's with it. It's our job as men to not have to expose women to this stuff because
Yeah.
it traumatizes women. Like I remember when I was naive, I wanted to make my mom understand like who did 9/11 or who
Mhm.
Epstein was or how Bill Gates is bad and how Biden's bad and how all these people are pretending to be good. But like I don't feel a woman is supposed to digest how dark human nature is, and it's kind of like men,
Yeah.
we're supposed to go out and deal with it so the women and children aren't exposed to it because it traumatizes them.
No, because yeah, because it's an evil world, and
Mm.
a lot of things we can
So
handle.
because this is what pisses me off all the most is I talk about the whole like a lot of, I feel like I was humbled by realizing I was a sinner and it made me a good man, as
Mm,
cliche or that sounds, but we have all these rich men, all these athletes, all these famous people trying to act like there's some sort of deity or God
yep,
or that they're a good person, but they're standing by and watching all this fucking shit go down. It's like
yep,
none of you, I don't care how much money you have, how successful you are, how famous you are. If you can't speak out on certain topics, that means you're a fucking coward and you chose money over, exposing
that's
evil in the
right.
world. There are no good men in this world because we're like you, even us, we sit here and we can talk about it on a podcast, but we're not going to leave our house and arm ourselves and go try to
Yeah,
figure out like why the pharmaceutical industry is purposely making our family members addicted to drugs, pretty much prescribing, your family members heroin. Um, the banking system is completely just exploiting you in every way. You're getting taxed out the ass. You have fake rigged elections. Like no one gets pissed off, and that just goes to show how much they've demoralized us as men. They literally bent over an entire society of men, injected them, put them on mass,
facts,
and they didn't do dick shit. That is
facts,
very terrifying. That
facts.
is fucking terrifying to see the masculine spirit is dead.
It's more so. It's more so. I see. It's
Well,
more so.
I'll say this. It's not about being spiritual anymore. It's about literally we
Yeah.
don't have the choice to talk about good things anymore. It's like either we all band together and overpower evil, or like
Mhm.
you can't overpower evil by talking about love and light all day. You know what I'm saying? It's like any
Hell
man who
no.
doesn't have a degree of darkness to him is an idiot because he can't see how the world truly runs. It's like
Yeah. It's
you
you
have
know
to
you
have some
can't
dog in you.
naive. Oh, that
Yeah,
person wouldn't do that to me. The government wouldn't.
yeah, yeah.
Shit.
Like, oh
Got me fucked up.
God,
I just watched that person do that shit. But it's this. I mean, some people want to see like it's genuine good people who are like I want to believe that it's somebody else like they're out me and all people operate how I do. And I
yeah,
and I get it. Just don't be
yeah. It's like I want to see the good in other people. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Which is a good viewpoint. That's
yeah.
a feminine, loving viewpoint, and that's good. But that works in a world where we don't have pedophiles running the country. It's like
Mhm.
once we get rid of them, then we can implement the feminine, ways of life, the spiritual ways of life. But no, we gotta fucking rid the world of the fucking wicked first, and that takes violence and power
Kick
and,
their
and
ass out.
strong men. We don't need to coddle men anymore. We need them to fucking,
Hell no. They more
like,
manipulative than women. Sorry, ladies, if you're I'm not trying to start anything, but they can be more manipulative. Fuck that shit. Hell no. You'll
mm,
be crying over some shit that I didn't know. I didn't know that child was 13. No, motherfucker, you knew that child was 13 when you reached out. Get the fuck out of here.
mm. It's just, I mean, I don't know. There's just so much. Even like, it was that Jack Doherty kid.
Jack
They
Dorsey. That
make
sounds familiar.
he's like some 19-year-old. He makes fake prank TikToks
Okay.
with OnlyFans girls who are like 19. Like he'll make a fake prank, like
Damn.
like try to balance this on your nose for 10 seconds and I'll give you 10K type shit on
The,
TikTok.
the
And then they
fuck?
funnel all these little kids. or like the like middle schoolers to their YouTube, and then they're trying to promote the girls OnlyFans. So it's like
Yeah.
they're like funneling 13, 14-year-old, 15-year-old boys into the OnlyFans, like by doing pranks that are targeted towards like younger minded people.
It's cold
Like
world.
it, but I mean, like those are just as big as sinners as like people who are actually doing human trafficking. Like,
Even that is mind-boggling. Like, how can you even have like the conscience to do that? But then it's like, do you even have conscience?
yeah, I
Do
wonder
you
if they're
really do?
NPCs. Like sometimes I think about that. If they're just
Bro, I'll be thinking that
they're
too.
put into they're put into the matrix to test to see if we do anything.
Because a lot of have you seen people and it's like you can't be real. Like this just don't scream
Yeah.
human. Like you gotta be an NPC, bro. But then even too, I was a lot of these like Grand Theft Auto, you need background characters, you need shit to, run the game. All these people can't be real.
Mm.
I refuse to believe everybody.
Yeah, I refuse to see people driving their cars and shit and just like,
And then like you never seen that person before. Like every time you step outside, it's a new set of character. Like if you in your neighborhood, yeah, you have your people because they playing a scene for this scene in the play that you're playing right now. But every time you step
mm,
outside that stage, it's a brand new set of cast every single time.
yeah,
I'm
it's I
creating
don't
you,
know.
you random people. In my experience.
But
Chase,
yeah,
bro. I always ask this last question
we're
to the
going
last
deep.
one. We are going deep. You know how we are, bro. You know how we are.
The audience should be like, what the fuck are they
What are
talking
y'all talking about NPCs? If you know, because no, I was having a conversation. And somebody got mad at me. Like, I refuse to believe that some people aren't real. And that's I'm like, if that's your free will,
about?
and you're welcome to it.
Yeah.
I'm
You
not.
might be one of them if
Yeah,
you,
you.
I know the
I couldn't.
Bible and the Bible and a bunch of texts say that stuff. I know. That's why I feel like we have the real players and then we have the NPCs, which just make the game fun, or they play the enemy, or they're the girlfriends we have that come into our lives that teach us to stop being,
Damn, imagine you dated an NPC.
certain
You
ways.
ain't know, bro. Guys, have you dated an NPC when that shit just didn't make sense?
I swear all girls with like blue greenish eyes are like all my girlfriends have been blue greenish eyes.
I
And they've
think
all, eventually ended up as Matrix operatives.
they already know
Watch
what
out
you
for
like and they
green
coming.
blood. Yeah.
Bro, you gotta
This
stay away from them.
to watch Westworld. Westworld is freaky.
I gotta watch that. Okay. They tell you, have you watched
Everyone should watch.
Who Cloned Tyrone on Netflix?
Nah.
They tell you they reveal a lot in that shit. It made me think, damn, am I a clone? I had to question myself
Yeah.
like that.
Well, not even that. I feel like they could create presidents or celebrities as clones and just put Chat GPT in their head. Like, I was thinking about this
Yeah.
yesterday. They gave us AI. There's no way they gave the public the best AI. It's like handing a
Come
fucking
on.
flamethrower to a child.
Yes.
They probably got some really good AI. Like,
And already
then you start
using
thinking,
it.
bro, history could be like AI. Like, what if the Super Bowl
Come
was AI and we had
on.
no, or Hitler was AI and they were just, or Pearl
You
Harbor was AI. Like, all the footage is AI. Like,
you don't
what if they've
know.
had AI for 100 years?
Good. That shit's scary. If it's a show called Inside Job on Netflix, it's basically,
Yeah, I've seen that.
bro, that shit. And I know Biden asked for real, not real. That motherfucker, AI bot for sure.
Because they have robotics that make it looks like very human. Like they can make the
Yeah,
mass and make the mouth move. And if you were to just put Chat GPT inside their head,
scary.
like,
And you wouldn't know.
yeah, because AIs be good. It feels like you're talking to a human. It's like in its milliseconds. Like
That's some kind of
like like
how
write me a
many
book and it'll write you
facts,
a book and like it'll be better than most. I give this like 6, 10 years before like no one has a job. Like well, I don't know
bro?
what's
Because
about
you
to
ain't gonna
happen.
need one. I wonder how many.
Yeah, was there?
I feel like a lot
Everyone's
of
gonna
our
be
followers are
depressed as fuck.
NPCs.
Everyone's gonna be so depressed. Just I'm gonna feel like everyone's gonna realize they like working because then sitting in the house all day is so much more boring.
Yeah. But I feel like it's at the same time it's gonna challenge people to be creative because you at
Yeah,
the probably at a certain point it won't be any fast food workers because you can automatically just dispense shit and blah blah
yeah. But I
blah.
mean, even like lawyers or financial guys, like
Damn. But even
like
that's scary.
yeah,
That's
computer
too dark.
video editors, it can do everything. It's I don't know, we ain't
Imagine
got long. That's so I feel
imagine
like the
chat.
creator economy is the time right now. You literally
Yeah.
the middle class is gonna be gone soon. You're either someone who's in the public eye or
Yeah.
you're on 50,000 credit every year. Well,
Hell
you have a base salary just given to you. because you
Hell
have some
no.
AI robot working for you. Like
Imagine
I
some
think that's how
AI.
they're going to want to do it.
It's just control. I just want ultimate control. It'll be funny as hell. AI
But
robot sentencing you to death. Like, how you gonna tell me what's how my life should go?
yeah, I think that eventually they're going to want like no government. It's just going to be everything's going to be decided by the AI. It'll be
That's
like a
scary.
global hive.
And it takes you away from the well on fuck a devil's advocate. I feel like it kind of it takes you away too from like use your intuition and just like just knowledge yourself. Just like, should I do this versus
Yeah.
nah.
Well, I feel like the AI will definitely be very good for us and help us
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of things, but like it should make all the decisions that are on like the basic level that don't
Yeah,
have much, morality involved in them or, you know, a need for rationality.
yeah.
But yeah, it'll help us a lot. But same thing is scary. Like whoever's controlling it can kind of program it to be biased. Like we saw that with ChatGPT being pretty liberal.
Yup. Everything is coding, man. Everything is programming. Big dog.
Yeah.
I always ask this last question to my guests, man. What would your message be to humanity during this time?
I don't know. Everything's a fucking paradox. Everything's about finding the middle ground. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just finding a lifestyle that you can, you're not getting taken advantage of, but you're also not taking advantage of other people.
Yeah,
You're, you know, and to also understand that the more money you make, the more clout you get, everything it's fun at for that first week and then life goes back to feeling the exact same. So
yeah,
you have to find something that even if you dream about making money, you'll start making money and then it'll get boring and you'll lose passion for it and it'll still feel like you're a slave to the system, even though you're at, 20, 30K a month.
yeah,
Um, make your money, but then always have that, plan in the back of your mind that like, hey, there's more to life. And, this all sounds cliche, but, you know, I don't know, treat life like a video game and understand that the characters change, the scene changed, the objective changed. Not every time in your life are you supposed to be the CEO or king of the world. Sometimes, you can get the best out of just laying low and having a small friend group and just going to work and just providing a service for someone or just,
but
I don't know, really start to analyze what you think happiness is. That's
bars.
that's my I don't really have advice for anyone. I think people just need to ask themselves more questions.
Ask more questions, guys. This is bars from Mr. Chase himself. Guys, if you want a session with Chase, link will be below. I'll provide his handles for you to follow because he will make your ass think. He will make it
Thanks
think.
for having me, man. I enjoyed this.
Of course, bro. Friend of the show. Guys, like, subscribe, comment. I'll see you next week.